phone, cut them off and put them on vibrate. The first thing we'll do is I call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll let you be seated for a devotion and a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible.
May be seated. Thank y'all for coming tonight. Have to give the the scripture I'm using today came really from what was preached at our church, but I'm not doing that particular sermon. I'm just using that part of the scripture that was used this past Sunday. And as y'all know, Saturday was our 250th anniversary of our country being started. So this was from Psalms 33. The first part of Psalms 33 talks about, us praising God, and then it goes into just his power. But then in verse 12 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen for his own inheritance." And that was kind of the main thrust of the sermon. But if you read on, the next verse it said, "The Lord looks from heaven. He sees all the sons of mankind. For his dwelling place, he looks out on all the inhabitants of the earth." And then it goes into some things that we shouldn't really, as humans, we depend a lot on things that we shouldn't. Instead of God, we depend on like the king is not saved by a mighty army. A warrior is not rescued by great strength. A horse is a false hope for victory, nor does it rescue anyone by its strength. Then the last verse says, let your favor, Lord, be upon us, just as we have waited for you." And what I wanted to do next was just read a little bit as we celebrated on Saturday the Declaration of Independence. It is fairly long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I did want to read just the first part. He said, this is in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Then it goes, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So you can read that, and it goes into the reasons of why their separation from the United Kingdom, from the King of England. Then if you go to the Constitution, I just wanted to read the preamble. I used to have this memorized, but I'm getting a little age on me. So the preamble is, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America." And I just want to mention that because some groups around the country were reading the whole Constitution. I think it'd be good if you looked at that also. So as we pray, I just want to pray for our country. I know I won't be here in another 250 years, as none of us, but I hope the country is. May we pray. Our Lord and God, we thank you so much for the blessings you've bestowed upon our country, that we've survived 250 years, an experiment by men who were didn't have to, but they gave usually their lives and their property and values to establish this country. And Father, we pray that although It's not a perfect country, Lord. We're better than anywhere else in the world with freedoms that no one else has. So, Father, I pray that you'll continue to bless this country, that you'll help it to grow and to turn toward you. I pray, Father, for us tonight. I pray for this meeting. I pray that you'll give us wisdom and guidance in all that we do. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, the first thing we have on here is, let's see, I see we have some that are already on the agenda, but let's go. Judge Wall, is there anything you want to mention ahead of time I've got elected officials or department heads, so I just want to know if there was anything you want to say or, okay. All right. Well, we'll move on with everything in the agenda. The approval of the minutes. We have the minutes of the June 1st, 2026 regular meeting. Do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Move to approve.
Okay. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to old business. We have the DFAX board appointments. I'll turn it over to the county manager, who's also taking notes tonight. So see how this works.
So, yes, sir. At the last meeting, we did table the third nomination, and I bring it back before this board. Hopefully, we'll have some resolve after review for the last 30 days.
So in other words, we can appoint somebody
Absolutely,
tonight.
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Anybody from the board want to make an appointment to the,
I think they nominate Christy Hewlett.
Okay.
For DFAC board.
have a nomination for Christy Hewlett? Do we have other nominations?
Move to be closed.
Have a motion to close the nominations. Can I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to the judicial project demolition.
I'd like to make a motion that, we approve tearing down the two old jails in order to build a new judicial complex.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion from the board? Okay, any discussion from the public? Yes, sir. You come to the mic, please.
I hadn't really been keeping up with everything going on, but I assume this is what with the courthouse. As the area that's.
Yeah, the area, you know where the 74 jail and then the old jail are? His motion was for the two old jails. Yes, sir, to put the judicial complex.
Would it be in the county's interest to sell all that property?
Well, unfortunately, I think we need it, but it's up to the board. I don't know why we would sell the property.
Well, we're looking at spending a lot of money that we don't have for something just to tear this down. So would there be a way that you could sell it to somebody and it not cost us money and that money could be put toward building something?
The problem would be, yeah, I mean, that we've got to have somewhere to put this judicial complex.
I'm sure the Economic Development Authority has land that could be used for that.
Well, they probably do. It just would be up to,
So to answer that, no, I don't think the development authority does, because in order to cast the vote, this body has to meet in the county seat. And all the property the development authority owns is outside the city limits, at least that I'm aware of.
okay.
There
That's
you-
a thought. You know, the
Yeah,
board
but-
might consider that, but right now,
Yeah.
we've got a motion and a second on the floor. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. That was just my.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to the data center ordinance. County manager has revised what the board had discussed earlier. So are there other, I think you'll see it on your tablet. Is it in the yellow, the bright yellow?
Yes, sir. All they had is her.
Yeah.
Highlighted in yellow.
What the board had asked to be revised is in the bright yellow. The other y'all had already looked at and pretty much approved, so, or not approved, but you saw it. So is there any other changes that the board wants to make to this ordinance?
I
Yeah.
have several other changes that I would like to make after
Okay.
doing some research. So I would, move that we table this and revisit it at the next meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have several seconds. There's no discussion on a motion to table. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll move to new business. We have the approval of accounts payable. If y'all will take a minute and look over that list, there's several, things on there that, I'm sure the county manager can give you an answer for. If not, he'll give you an answer sometime this week, but do we have any questions for the accounts payable list?
I have a question.
Yes,
Connor, what is, 49565?
Yeah, let me get back to you on that, because I don't want to tell you what I'm not familiar with the gap group.
Okay, thank you.
okay, do we have other questions? Okay, do we get a motion in to approve the accounts payable list?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go down to the CICC grant approval. You want to explain that, please? Oh, the audit, excuse me. We have Mr. Frank Irwin here. I appreciate you catching me on that. I had checked it off ahead of time by mistake. I apologize.
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening.
All right, I'm not sure if y'all been able to review the audit report ahead of time or not, but, we did get it completed. In there, y'all's financial statements, footnotes and all that comprise what's in here on top of, 3 reports that I've added as part of the engagement. And then the back of the audit, there was the findings and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start off with the, first report. It's on page 2. And this is the report over the county as a whole. And this is an unqualified opinion, which is a good, clean opinion for the county. That's all operations, all departments. The start of the second report that I issued regarding this engagement starts on page 78. And as part of this engagement, whenever doing a county or a local government audit, we have to look at internal controls and then compliance with anything that could materially impact the financial statements. That's what this report's about right here. There are 3 issues that are referenced. I'll talk about those in just a minute because they're scheduled back there in the back. Also, as part of this engagement, y'all did qualify for the single audit component this year. Starting for 2025, they moved up the dollar amount of federal awards that you had to expend during the year. It used to be $750,000 in that 12-month period. Now it's gone to, starting this year, 25 to $1 million. So on page 80, you'll see there's a schedule of expenditures of federal awards for the county. It lists out the different, if you want to call it, pots of money that the county got federal awards and then spent. You'll see that the major one this year, $844,000 was spent. What most everybody knows was the acronym of ARP. Y'all are having to spend most of that money. And so that's where y'all are spending a good chunk of it in 2025. The total federal expenditures for the county for the year were $1,370,601. With y'all having to have a single audit, this third report, which starts on page 82, it is written where I'm telling you what I found when looking at major programs. Just these kind of programs where you get federal money that we were talking about. And of that, the programs that I tested didn't see any kind of issues with internal control or any kind of issues with compliance. So this report right here is basically a good report right there. Now, what everybody's always interested in, starting on page 84, the title is called Schedule of Findings and Question Comes. It starts off with a summary of the auditor's results. I've already mentioned that overall, it was an unmodified opinion for the county and the financial statements. The issues that we addressed here that were listed, the first one is dealing with segregation of duties. The county's going to have that on a regular basis. This is not that solid issues. It's that the issue or the risk is out there. And so that's why this is always put in the audit report. With the different offices y'all have, there's one or two people that are kind of doing everything. They may be taking all the money in, they may be writing checks, signing checks, making deposits. You know, there's a limit to what you can do to try to build internal controls around there. So what this is basically just highlighting to the county that that risk is out there. And just kind of keep that in mind. The second one, which is on page 85, it's called unsecured cash balances. Per state law, basically it requires that all deposits and investments other than federal or state government instruments to be collateralized at 110% by the depositor. And so each year, usually I'll just pick a time, usually toward the end of the year, to see if the banks that y'all have your checking accounts and stuff like that with do have y'all covered. And there was one instance where the money was not covered with pledges from the bank. Unfortunately, it's an issue with the bank, didn't cover it, but it's the county requirement to have that covered. The third one and last one here is on budgets. There was one budget, there's a special revenue fund called Benevolent Fund, that's over at the Sheriff's Department. And that just didn't have a budget adopted for the 2025 year. And the general fund and all basically special revenue funds are required to have budgets adopted before the beginning, basically before January the 1st of that year. It also states in here that there was no findings or question calls dealing with the major programs. This year, the major program, like I already stated, was ARPA. Y'all spent the bulk of y'all spent on money. And then at the very back of that report, there's also a schedule that says prior audit findings, and that just addressed anything that was listed in the prior year when it happened, like segregation of duties, it was last year, so it was repeated. But that's kind of what I was going to go over. If anybody wants to go over any more detail or look at anything else in there, I'll be glad to talk about it.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board? Sounds like a pretty good report. I got a quick question, just to make sure I understand the single audit, which is required by the federal when you're over, you said 750,000.
Well, starting in 2025 is $1 million.
$1 million. Okay, so it went to $1 million in 2025. Okay, so probably this year our ARPA funds won't exceed $1 million, or will they?
26, no, sure.
Okay, I thought it was pretty much you had to have it spent by a certain time. So we're
You had to have it spent by December of this year.
okay, but we probably won't hit the. You said 1 million.
I think you only have what about, it's under 200,000 left.
Right.
So
Okay, I
that's
just
all y'all have left to offer.
so then we would not have to do the single audit for this 2026.
Now we have to look at two other,
Right.
CSDG
Okay, the
programs,
transit stuff.
transit,
Yeah, I got you.
those kind of things. Those are all federal funded programs that y'all normally have every year.
Okay,
Some of the DA money, the poker funds and stuff like that, the drug courts, all those kind of fall under that federal pot, unfortunately.
okay, all right,
But we just kind of look at it year by year.
okay.
But there's a good chance that this year you may not have to have the same audit for the 26 year.
Okay, all right. All right, so anybody on the board want to make a motion that we accept the audit?
So move.
Have a motion to accept the audit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussions from the public? Okay, then all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. We appreciate your help.
Thank y'all for the opportunity.
Thank you for getting it to us, because now it goes, you're gonna send it on as soon as you can.
Yes.
To the state.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, now we'll turn it to the county manager for the,
Yeah, CJCC.
right.
So what this grant is, it's a grant we do every year. This is actually for the drug court program. The paragraph reads is the purpose of the accountability court grants program is to make grants to local courts and judicial circuits to establish specialty courts or dockets to address offenders arrested for drug charges or mental health issues. So right now, Judge Caldwell does run that program.
Okay. Can we get a motion from the board to approve this grant?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any questions from the public? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. At this time, Mr. Jeff Ford, he's the manager of the Part of Georgia Regional Airport. If you'll come forward.
I mentioned 250 years, the airport, I believe it's 60 years this year, so that's another milestone to be celebrated. The airport, yeah, we get inspected every 2 years, I believe, by the FAA and DOT. And last year, they did a LiDAR, which is a drone. I think they flew over it, and there were some trees that were in the Part 70s, without getting too technical. Basically, they got different surfaces that go up different angles. Some go straight out, some go up at that angle. And we've had multiple trees that have been in the way. We got written up for, I guess you'd say written up, that we had to do something with. And I believe it was back in September, I had Taryn Allen come in there with a crane, and we went on to a big property, and they allowed us to pop some of those pine trees to get that out. The airport, of course, paid for that. The other part of the problem was some trees down in the bottom that you can't get to with any equipment. So we got Taryn Allen to come in there, or his crew, and they cut some by hand. They're still doing a few at the time. It's so hot down at that bottom that they work about half a day, and then whenever they not doing something else, they come back and do it again. The initial quote for that was about $13,000. That takes care of the trees that are actually sticking up in the plant at the present. There's still some trees that are smaller coming up that we're having to, so what we're doing with that, or what I'm doing with that, is get a guy with a drone to come in and spray chemicals to try to suppress the rest of it. And all of that's money that, and also you guys helped us with a 75-25 grant to do the lighting project, which starts actually Monday. So that'll start. And we're going to close the airport for 2 weeks. So basically we won't have any income coming in for 2 weeks. And so in the middle of that, we've got these trees to be cut and some other stuff. So I guess what I'm asking for is a little help from the county to try to cover this cost. I'm hoping that when Terrence through, it won't be the full 13,000 yet, but there will be, we'll take the rest of that and put it into the drone spread. And the airport's going to cover whatever it costs, and we can do it a little bit at a time until we get it all done. So, but that's all I finance it does. I guess.
Okay, so you're looking at 13,000. Okay, any questions from the board?
Is this, you said on private property and not on airport property?
No. The one tree that they cut with the crane was on private property. They allowed us to do it. Everything that we're cutting now is actually on airport property.
And going forward, you plan on staying on the spray program to keep this from happening in the future on our property?
Yes.
Anybody want to make a motion here?
What kind of inputs does the airport have available?
Kind of what?
Money input. The city, the airport, is anybody else committed any kind of money to help y'all?
Not for this. We've got a lot of other things going on. We've got a hangar down there we're trying to get opened up to get every airplane in, and the apron area and stuff. The city is helping us with that to get that redone. So they're helping quite a bit, because we had a problem with the fence with deer got in. And they use their equipment to go in there and fix that for us. So the city's helping where they can.
What about the airport? Do you guys have any money allotted
No. No. Everything we got goes to fixing tires that get busted from running over cactuses to, it's not in our budget, I don't believe, for the.
Other questions?
You got part of it done, the total was like 14,000, did I hear?
13.
13? So how much do you need to finish this project?
Well, we haven't paid anything for it yet, so
Okay, he's done some work that you've not paid.
that's right. We haven't paid anything.
Okay, I was assuming that was already paid.
No, he's still in the process of working, doing it, so.
So do we have the funds in SPOS for this? Plus, I know we matched.
The funding is there.
The
I
lighting.
don't know if we matched the lighting for the,
Right,
because it was a road.
Yeah.
But on this, I don't know if that qualifies for T-Splosh. I'd have to look back in this specifications on that, but,
I'd have to double check on. Should be the same as trimming the road right
it may
away,
be,
because
it
it
may
is.
but yes, the funds are available.
okay. Anybody want to make a motion then?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a
Take the
motion
money
to
from
approve.
the T-Splosh.
I have a second, but I do want to, under the conditions that it is legal to take it out of teach block, which I'm almost sure it is. It is. It is.
It is, okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? All right, we'll move then. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's passed, so,
Thank y'all.
yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Roy Locke with the Dodge County Cemeteries, if you'll come up, please.
Good evening. I represent the Dodge County Settlers.org. I've done a lot of work in researching cemeteries and everything. If you'll turn to the second page, the agenda, I want to do an introduction, what other counties have done, what Dodge County has, the plans that that the organization has, and how that you as a board can help us do that. And as far as the introduction, I do call this the Dodge County Settlers. It has everything to do with Dodge County, the people that came into Dodge County, people that have stayed here, as well as some that have left. And so in doing that, I have found out that we have people that have lived in Dodge County that have moved to almost every other county in the state of Georgia, almost every other state in the United States, and 5 to 9 nations. That's the kind of legacy that we have. There's a lot of people that have come through Dodge County. And while I've done a lot of this research, I do need help. And so let's look at what other counties have done. Lawrence, for instance, they have on their county website a list of cemeteries and the people in the cemeteries, and they have tied that to the road and the headstone for each person in that cemetery. Washington and 2 other counties have went together, and they have created a list similar to what you see on this page. Next page, have Telfair. They've gone a little bit further. They have a gentleman that has come in and done some drone flyovers and created maps, created a database of who is in the cemetery. But that has been on paper, and he's lodged that mainly in the library in Telfair County. Now, let's look at what Dodge County has. And I only show the menu of my site here, but basically, and this is linked to the Dodge County website, there's a search function. You can go in and type in a first name and last name, either a white person or a black person, and it will pull it up. And it will tell you what the tombstone name is of that individual. It will tell you what cemetery they're in. And it will have a link to their genealogical page. And basically the cemetery is divided the same way. We have the white cemeteries and the black cemeteries. And as you pull those up, it gives a list of names, and you can link those to their genealogical pages. And then, of course, the genealogical pages, you can look at the families and you can go up. And what I have tried to do is tag when the families came into Dodge County. So there's a tag called Ancestor up there, and identifies when that family came into Dodge County. And then, of course, you see all the family sheets going down through identification of what cemetery that they may be buried in. The next sheet shows the plans. And this is not all the plans, but the very first item on the plan, obviously, is to determine the cemeteries in Dodge County. Now, you would think that would be a simple situation. Go to the Dodge County map, identify the cemeteries. No, I've done a lot of research on the web. Find a Grave has a listing. People Legacy has a listing. Some of those cemeteries are in Dodge County. Some of those cemeteries are not. People in Dodge County were buried in those cemeteries, but they're outside of the county. I have identified 137 white cemeteries in Dodge County, 52 black cemeteries in Dodge County. Of those 137 white cemeteries, I've only been able to locate 117. Of the 52 black, 33. I have plans. I'd like to get these to put on the Dodge County plat map and identified as such. Now, here's the sad situation. Of the white cemeteries, 137, I have identified 2 that have already been destroyed. 2. There's at least 3 that the 2002 Wiregrass Genealogy Society could not find. I can't find more than they couldn't find, but they couldn't find those. And so I would say they're in danger of being destroyed or at least lost. And we do have one lost in time, the Cadwell Cemetery. One of the founding families of this county and the husband and wife there on the WPA Road and Highway 165, and nobody knows where the cemetery is. That's the situation. Now, future plans. If you'll turn to the next sheet. What I'd like to do is in cooperation with the board, because my research has found out, in order to get a grant for anything like this, it's got to come from the county. It's not going to come from individuals. I have identified some places, possible places for grants, but this is where I really need the help. Obviously, there's a lot of things to be done before we ask for funds to redo these cemeteries. We need to get all of them located. We need to know what we want to do with them. There's several cemeteries in the county that individuals have brought in ground penetrating radar and located the graves in. We have many cemeteries where the Wilcox Foundation has come in and done a lot of work to renovate the cemeteries. So we have a combination of forgotten cemeteries and well-kept cemeteries. And of course, obviously, the Orphan Cemetery and the Woodlawn Cemetery is probably the best examples of the well-kept cemeteries. But we are reaching a point. We're reaching a point where there's more people underground in Dodge County than there are above them. And that brings up a real good point. Do we want to forget all of those that have made Dodge County what it is today. We're talking about the 250th, excuse me for a minute. I am a pastor, so I do have a license to preach. We talk about 250 years of our country. Well, since 1871, we have a proud history of Dodge County. And we have a legacy. And what I want to do is make sure that people that have their roots in Dodge County can be able to find information about those roots. Now, here's the help I need. Obviously, I need your help in writing and proposing the grants. But there must be certain things done even before then. We need to identify, locate, and legally register all Dodge County cemeteries. Many of our cemeteries are 1, 2, 3 people. There are cemeteries on the back corner of the field. There are cemeteries behind the hedgerow. There's cemeteries in the middle of the woods. That's what we have. But we need to identify those and determine what we want to do with them. Obviously, I'd like to get the cemeteries pinned to Google Earth. Small matter, but it takes a lot to get that done. And certainly, I'd like to bring to the attention on this board, Georgia Code 36-72-3. Your authority to take over abandoned cemeteries. Now, I'm not asking you as a board take these on at your cost. I'm asking as a part of the help of obtaining grants to refurbish, identify, put a fence around, put a signpost up that people know where these cemeteries are, that we identify the costs associated with abandoned cemeteries and include that in the grant. So that's what I propose. And obviously, I mean, that is not something that y'all can do tonight. But what I'd like to propose is to create a committee. And certainly, I would appreciate the opportunity to be on that committee. I would also recommend that some member of the Wilcox Foundation be on that committee because they have done this work before, and that we proceed with utmost urgency. I have been a long time gathering this research, but it's time to move out because, my friends, the cemeteries are not getting any better. They're getting worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the board got a question for Reverend Law? Thank you for what you've done in the past. I'm sure we'll take this under advisement and come up with a committee or something, but that's, just make sure if you would, after the meeting, let me get your phone number, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have a Trent Drive. And I know some people are here from Trent Drive, but we have a letter, I think, in our packet.
Yes, sir. So I have received a petition for the county to formally accept it into its road network. There is a deed, dated in the 90s where it was, deeded to the county from Stakey Timberland. But there is no record indicating that it was ever brought into, the county road network. All the record we have still indicated to be private drive. So what we're asking tonight is to accept it in the, road network so that improvements can be made.
Okay. All right, anybody on the board got a question for the county manager? We'll get a motion then to approve this request for the county ownership of Trent Drive.
So moved.
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Have several seconds. Any discussion from the board of commissioners?
Put it on the list, correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct. So, you know, just to kind of let everybody know in the room, so we'll look at some potholes and things like that, but as far as a full resurface, we're looking 24 months minimum to wait for a resurface.
Other questions from the board? Okay, any questions from the public or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. All right, we'll go to the CDBG grants or community development block grants.
Yeah, so in your packet, I've included a Google Earth map of Shady Acres, and we have identified that as a potential candidate for the next CDBG. It's been, well over 2 years since our last CDBG award. This area is currently, a dirt road. At one time it did have ditches. It was, tied into public water. So, and where they put the water lines are in the ditches. So it's very difficult for us to dredge the ditches to maintain the water. So ideally what we would need to do, is to surface it, and with the CDBG, monies, we can actually put in some curb and gutter work and some storm drain issues. I've identified about 13 residences out there. But what I'm asking for tonight is permission for me to engage with the regional commission to kind of start this plan off. We are well in advance of the next round of CDBG, but some of the requirements have changed where you have to do certain amounts of trainings and things like that before you can be even considered for that. But if this is something this board will allow me to engage in, we can go ahead and schedule those trainings so we're in compliance and can apply.
Okay, to clarify, this is the one off Ninth Avenue,
That's
Shady
correct.
Acres, as opposed to Shady Oaks off the WPA.
That's correct.
Okay,
Speaking of Shady Oaks, we did the same thing for Shady Oaks. Almost the exact same layout, but we had a major issue with water lines that were shallow under this road when we got started. Do we know where the lines are?
Yes, I know they're not in the road bed. I do know that for a fact. We have scrubbed that road 4 ditches.
None of them crossed in the road from one house to another that were.
No, they're all on one side of the road that I was aware of. But I'll be glad to check with the city of Eastman, to verify that.
The other thing is we had a tentative plan to turn every road that had city infrastructure under it over to the city as fast as possible. I'm assuming about the time we probably spend this money on this road, they probably go into accept it, but
Correct.
it is, it does have their infrastructure either on or around this road. So
That is correct.
okay, what's the board's pleasure? Somebody want to make a motion that we let the county manager proceed talking to the,
how long is this?
How long is that road? Less than half a mile. And then it has one dead end offshoot to it. So I mean, I think total project's will be half a mile. Okay, with the stormwater, yes.
I make a motion that Connor be allowed to look into this with the city.
okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to the Georgia Opportunity Zone.
So a few weeks ago, the regional commission sent out a correspondence letting us know that the Department of Community Affairs was accepting federal opportunity zone tracts. And Dodge County has been identified. You remember in the past, it was the census tract that was from Chester down to Bend Giddens Road. And now they have added to that. So they've included from Bend Giddens Road down to Highway 165, all east of Eastman, and then from 165 down into where it abuts Dodge County, abuts Tulare County and Wheeler County. And so what I'm asking for tonight is permission to proceed for the nomination of these tracts with DCA. Now, what that opportunity zone does, will give it federal and state tax incentives for manufacturers or just different entities that hire people to come to our community and get those tax incentives. Again, it's based on job creation. It's not based on anything else other than that. But we do need to nominate it, and it is kind of urgent because the deadline for nomination is July 15th.
And so this would be Georgia and federal?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So I think Georgia, obviously Georgia, handles all of the federal programs. So I think that's why they call it the Georgia Opportunity Zone, but it is also no otherwise known as federal opportunity zone.
okay. Anyone on the board want to make a motion?
So moved.
So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to Mr. Howard Warnock.
Appreciate y'all having me. A couple, I think it was last month before last, changed format on our meetings. Do away with public comments at the end. Can I ask why?
Because as chairman and presiding officer over this, according to the state law, I'm just trying to see how it works. And if it works well, like right now, job of the chairman and moderator is to keep this board on track as it is a meeting of the Dodge County Board of Commissioners. So my job is to keep it on track. If you look at the state law and the laws, what it says about the right rules of order, and that's what I'm trying to follow.
Okay, well, what, if someone has a comment they want to address the board between the time that the deadline of getting on the agenda and the meeting, how do they go about addressing the board?
Surely
Or if
they,
it's something that is not covered by something on the agenda?
they can check when if they want to come to a meeting before we start, and they want to fill out a piece of paper that says, they would like to be on the agenda and what their reasoning is. It can be passed around to the board, and if the board's interested, if we get 3 votes for it, it'll be done. But if
Okay,
not,
so they can be done at the last minute,
yeah, but hopefully people have enough sense not to do it at the last minute, because a lot of times you have to, the county manager, the way the state set up our law, and each county and city is different in the state of Georgia. We have a strong county manager form of government, and we expect, he needs to research some stuff before it comes to the board. So that's the main purpose of having a time lag to, when somebody fills out the paper, so that it can kind of be researched before it comes to the board.
yes. I understand that. And I have read the laws, and I know the Open Meeting Act does not guarantee, public comments at all. But as far as, with the Georgia Attorney General, he guarantees the public right to just observe. But the decision to allow public comments falls on the governing body, not the chairman.
Well,
So, and there's.
that's your interpretation.
According to the Attorney General.
The chairperson shall be that's to vote, but it
So
said,
then, I'm not an attorney, but it falls, everything I read said it falls on the governing body of the county. And I hadn't seen a vote one way or the other. I'm asking the county, the board right now,
well,
if they would make a motion and vote and make a decision.
it's not on the agenda. So but the thing is, they can make a motion to change the structure of the way the Board of Commissioners was set up, and then it would go to Atlanta to be changed. But at this point,
So y'all overruled the state laws.
no,
Well,
I'm saying the
that's
state law said the
I'm reading
board-
The state attorney
Well-
general's statement.
okay, I'll check with the county attorney.
Yep.
And
I
I'll be glad
appreciate
to.
it.
I'll state for a matter of the record that the organizing legislation creating Dodge County says that we operate under Robert's Rules of Order with the
That's correct.
chairperson enforcing the rules. Chairperson is in charge of setting the agenda. That would include allowing public comments in any portion or not. The Board of Commissioners could, in fact, overrule the chair in that regard, but currently it's vested in the chair to set the order of the meeting, which would include this issue.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I'm asking for the board's total ruling on that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming. Okay, do we have commissioner reports? I'll start with Mr. Chairman Coffey.
I have nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't, don't have anything.
I said I have nothing.
I didn't hear you. I apologize. Commissioner Green.
I just wanted to bring back up what I talked about at the last meeting, if it's your pleasure.
Sure.
Talking about the courthouse and the demolition of the actual current Dodge County courthouse that sits empty and has now for 7, 8 years. It's been a minute.
7 years and 5 months.
There we go, 7 years and 5 months. Thank you, Judge Willett. I still am in support of putting a referendum on the next ballot, which will be the November ballot, that asks the community their thoughts on this. I understand the reasonings not to. I understand the reasonings too. I get both sides. I just think that if this is pretty big, you know, and for us to decide to tear down courthouse, I've researched a lot, and I think Commissioner McCraney has too. There has been no county out of 159 counties in the state of Georgia that has chosen to tear down their courthouse for just the purpose of tearing down the courthouse. Some of them have been destroyed, you know, by fire or other things. I was very much in favor of doing this in the beginning until I've done a little research, and I want you guys to decide that. I don't think that's something that I can only speak for myself. I shouldn't decide that. This shouldn't be in my lap. This should have been something that has been decided decades ago, but here we are. And I'm going to bring counsel in on this. I recommend that we say something along the lines of, do you support a projected 2 mil tax increase for the renovation and continued maintenance of the existing Dodge County Courthouse for the foreseeable future? That's an estimate, a 2 mil estimate. 1 mil, half a mil is approximately what, 400? You told me $478,000.
A meal is $478,000.
So
at
you're
this
looking
point in time.
at $1 million. Okay. So,
It depends on what you're gonna do with the courthouse. If
correct, it does.
the public, you know, chooses to keep it. I mean, you know, like, if there's some way we could set up a courthouse historical group, we want to take it over and they, you know, refurbish it to some point, that would be fantastic. It would save us a lot of money. But like I said, the judicial complex is probably gonna cost us $2 million a year. So that, for about 20 years. So that, you know, what I'm trying to figure out is how we can do the judicial complex and not, you know, let maybe another group can form a group to save the courthouse with their money and get the burden off the county.
Correct.
Okay.
So I wanted to just recommend that we do agree to allow Mr. Daniels to form some sort of question for referendum on the November ballot so that the constituents of Dodge County can vote on this. Well, vote as in yes or no. I mean, it's, you know, it's just a question. It's kind of a poll. So, Ron, would you like to add anything to that?
I mean, we can word it however the board wishes a referendum to be worded, and it would be about essentially an advisory opinion of the voters to the board. You can structure it. You can get really structured with it and say, you know, you can have more than 2 options, right? It doesn't have to be a binary choice. You could say, I support it up to 1 mil increase, or I support it up to, you know, a $500,000 increase, or you're going to get a lot of results doing things like that. But one thing to consider though is you absolutely be doing it in conjunction with elections, so that the added cost is not a concern there. But one thing you might want to be cognizant of is look at your voter turnout and compare particularly the contested races versus ballot questions, and how many people actually continue along the ballot and don't just pick something at the first couple of pages on the dial machines. Because a lot of times what happens is people start marking things for ballot questions. So just
Right, and that's where personal responsibility comes in, right? We can't make people complete their ballots. I don't know how to make anybody in here complete their ballot. I complete mine. So that's just what I want to offer. I don't, you know, I want to know what everybody else on the board thinks about that. And if this is something I have been saying this for a
Anybody
long
else
time.
on the board want to make a comment? Y'all got an
I
idea?
have a question.
Sure.
What are the thoughts about continual maintenance of it once it's
Right.
And
I think
funding for
that's where
that.
the point, that would probably be fairly accurate with that 2 mills for the foreseeable future, because this is not a 25-year and done project. Even if we do $16 million or $12 million renovation, which we had discussed. Yes, you can physically pay for that in 25 years with $1 million a year. But at the end of that 25 years, this building will need to be renovated again and again. This will be an ongoing renovation for the foreseeable future if we decide to go down this road. And that's what we need to be thinking about.
And I have another question, maybe Brian or someone can address it. Trying to figure out how to word this properly. There are times when the amount of flexibility that people in this county have in terms of what they can afford, fluctuates. So when things get tough, something comes up as an urgent need, there would be what do you do to prevent a shift in discussion of moving money from what's been allocated or voted by people for maintenance to be used for something else that's come up suddenly that's more important?
We won't be here by
At
the
the
time
top.
it comes around, I'm sure, but the
But
thing
my-
is,
My focus is on the
Well,
future generation.
We can't
how
make
much-
a vote to
yeah,
find
how much
future
did you
boards.
raise
That's
for the
not
clock?
Pardon?
how much did the clock power
The
group
commu-
raise?
The community.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying, the community gave to that.
Right.
How much
Would
did
they
they
have given-
raise? How much money did they raise for the clock tower? The community,
Well, in total, including all the in-kind as well,
Yeah.
freebies and stuff like that, 75,000.
right. And then you got like the Lead It Better group. I mean, they've collected since 2023, I saw almost $300,000. That's 2.5 years.
Well,
What I'm trying to say is if the public supports something and it's in a different entity than under the county, it might survive for a long time. But if not, if it's torn down and it's 120 years old this year, you won't have to worry about it because it won't be there. But this judicial building that we're fixing to build, we're going to be paying $2 million a year for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, it's going to need some revamping. The jail down there, which we built, 15 years ago? I'm sure we've already spent some money on it, so we're gonna spend some more. So, I mean, I'm just saying that whatever's done is gonna require somebody to do something at some point. But anyway, what other questions?
so I was back to my question on how do you ensure that whatever the vote that is made, if it says so much money for maintenance, how do you ensure that it continues to be that way in perpetuity?
Like he said,
Am I correct in that we cannot bind any future county board or political, person in any vote that we make today? Anything we vote to do can be undone by a future board, is that true?
Including yourself, yes.
Including us, yes, that's right. We can,
Just,
you
just
can
like you
change
did
your
with the
mind.
581, people could vote for it and
but the judicial
Change.
complex that we're looking at building, I mean, if we go into this and we're looking at, what you say, $12 million? Or
yeah,
10 million, 10 to $12 million. Once we vote to do this, I mean, as far as the building, and we're on the hook
You're right.
for the 20 years. It doesn't matter who comes in.
You're on the hook to pay for it.
Right.
You're not on the hook to do anything else with the building. Now, obviously, you would. if the
Well, it's just
voters to
like
do
I'm
anything
saying,
else,
yeah, the jail, we voted to build it and we used money, splash money. And so, but I mean, it's still got to be maintained.
Right.
We cannot do without a jail. Unless we pay other, we can, but we're gonna be paying other counties.
Somewhere.
Yeah, we're gonna be paying other counties whatever they want to house them. So that's my point.
Yeah.
This building, I mean, you know, as long as we're here,
Obligations that you
Yeah.
are must have. Having somewhere to house inmates is one. Having a courthouse
It's
is
another.
one of those obligations at the very tip top that you gotta have. So
sure.
you got to maintain a building regardless, and you can't really get away from that.
Right.
Um,
Okay. Other questions?
No, I don't have any other questions. I just, I wanted to put that out there because we have these choices. We can tear it down, we can let it sit there and become blight, or we can renovate it. Those are your choices. And I just want you guys to know, this is not an easy choice for any of us sitting up here. It's not an easy choice. So it's been a very hard discussion.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, we'll go to the county manager report and we'll need to get with him on an attorney
Okay.
to draw up something that the board, I think he needs to come to us with some options.
Okay.
If that's all right at our next meeting. And we'll just have the attorney come, with several options for us to look at. I think that'd be easier than trying to form one right now, if that's, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just wanted
Yeah.
to have the permission for him to work
Yeah.
on it.
Sure, no problem. Okay, anything else? County manager report, you ready?
Boy, I'm sitting here anxious.
I can tell.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is, the deeds trial. And I just want y'all to know how, what kind of expense we incurred with it. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about that. But, the total for the deeds trial, that was held in Blakely County was $41,020.38.
All right, Connie, can I interrupt? That is not the total. That is the portion as of the date that was submitted to you. There are additional expenses forthcoming from the original 2-week trial.
Gotcha. But I want to, and I did want to point out, so that's the expenses, that's the check we wrote Blakely County, as she said. But I do want to say that we are expecting a reimbursement on, with Judge Wall's help from the state ARPA fund, in the amount of $39,126.22. That leaves us a net of $1,894.60. So that's fantastic. And I wanted to thank the judicial and Judge Wall. Thank you for that.
Can I add to that? There are additional expenses, as I mentioned, for the 2-week trial that we just concluded, as well as additional motions that are forthcoming. Those expenses should run $10,000 to $20,000, but we have ARPA funds that they have allotted to us as long as we get the paperwork turned in, which will be no problem by September 15th. The ARPA committee, I was on the executive committee for 4 years. They have agreed to allow us until September the 15th to get all of our information submitted. So the expenses that we incur in August on the motions and additional matters relating to this trial, we will also get reimbursed from ARPA. However, that trial must be held a second time and it will be past the ARPA deadline. So the county will be incurring that expense in the future. I suspect it will be next year in 2027.
So, and that would be, so that additional expense will be played into the budget when I present to y'all.
Another 50?
I would suspect another 50.
At least. He's at 41 and then maybe another 20, so you're looking at 60.
Moving from that, I want to talk about the mass notification system. If y'all recall about a month ago, y'all approved us to move forward with that mass notification in lieu of your traditional sirens. So that way anybody that has a cell phone can get alerts from the county about impending weather, road closures, things of that nature. That is a live feature right now. And I encourage everybody to go to our website on the home page. It's on the front top. It says click here. It kind of gives you what you need. It takes you to a landing page, and we're asking you for your name, telephone number, maybe your email address, and then your physical address. So that way, if we have a road closure that affects a certain area for temporary, we could, for lack of a better term, we could geofence that area in, so only those people would get alerts that would be affected. But again, that is live. And so I encourage everyone to sign up to get the alerts.
So that is on board now?
It is, as of today.
And
Connor sent a press release and Chuck's gonna put it on the front page with all that information so that people will be able to go ahead and do it too.
Okay.
Connor, just so everybody here knows, what are we paying for the service out of counties?
$3,000 annually for that service.
$3,000. Every time I hear that, I say, what are they getting at? or somebody's spending a bunch of money on this, or either advertising or something, which, I just wondered because $3,000, the last time we looked at this was 10 years ago and they wanted $40,000.
Right. And then in comparison to the weather sirens, you know, that you would see outside, I mean, we're looking at $1.2 million.
And then they would serve very few people.
That's right. You'd have to be outside traditionally here. So that's why we chose
Just
that.
saying, it
plan.
sounds like a great deal. I'm
Yes.
just waiting for another shoe drop. So.
It's great.
To be true.
All right.
Sorry. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Remind me if there is or is not cost for the people that sign up for it.
There is no cost.
Thank you.
So I wanted just to let y'all know, I know a lot of y'all were here, but the Public Facilities Authority, they did hold their meeting. That was last week, and they gave me a few tasks to accomplish. I'm not 2 weeks ago, I apologize. But I had 3 things I needed to create order a seal, an official seal, register that authority with the DCA, and also get a tax identification number for that. All 3 of those have been completed, so that authority is fully functioning now. I did want to talk just real briefly about L-Host, and that is the local homestead sales tax. What that sales tax was trying to be implemented for was Senate Bill 33. That all that tax that was collected would be used as a homestead exemption to anyone's property that is homesteaded in this county. So y'all move forward with creating local legislation. Attorney Daniel sent it to Danny Mathis, state rep. We also ran it to legal. We did everything we were supposed to do. And then the General Assembly deadlocked, and our L-Host local legislation, along with 89 other municipalities and counties, were all deadlocked and no vote. So they all died. So we're hoping that they could possibly be brought back up in January, because the law called for the vote specifically in November, and that tax to be implemented in 2028. So we do have some time. I want to talk about another bridge closure. I'm not sure if y'all are aware of it, but I didn't. Of course, GDOT did not contact me. I found out some information from a Facebook post, but GDOT is closing the Alligator Creek Bridge that is a part of Airport Road. It has been awarded to Griffin Grading Concrete. It will be closed next Monday and will be continue to be closed for 5 months as they replace that bridge. The alternate detour route is Faircloth Road, which is just, maybe a mile down the road, and it takes you back to Highway 126. So, not a huge detour like we're seeing in other bridge replacements. The DFACS board held a meeting last Tuesday, and I just wanted to kind of give y'all some numbers of what's happening in our county as far as DFACS is concerned. So, as of last Tuesday, there are currently 48 children in foster care in the county, and the regional director is definitely would love to see more foster families. There are 2 foster families in Dodge County, so a lot of these kids from Dodge County are having to be put in other counties because we just don't have a lot of certified foster homes. But the other thing I want to tell you about is how much federal money is coming in for food stamps. So we've issued $570,034 out in the month of June. And then for Medicaid, there are 2,500 active cases. So that office stays busy. And that's it for me.
Any questions from the board commissioners to the county manager? Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll now adjourn. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
I was thinking about it. So, you have some.
You got to work.
Thanks, Judge. Take care of yourself.
They said the judge will close everything down for his third week.
That's why. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have. Yeah, it was. Okay, I was. Good job. How much you did? Already. Oh,
Larry.
I know Neil's young, he kept this ball down, and he claims he didn't charge God.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Which includes.